Welcome to Sound Policy from FM. On this show, engineers, researchers, and insurance professionals break down the challenges businesses face and the strategies to overcome them. Today, we're talking about one of the most important parts of insurance, claims. New technology like AI and automation is changing claims in significant ways. To learn more about what the future holds, we sat down with Jeremy Gallant, Senior Vice President of Claims at FM. Jeremy, thanks for being on the show.
It's great to be here.
First, introduce yourself. Tell me a little bit about yourself. What do you do at FM?
20 years at FM, a couple years at a different insurance company previous to that. New into claims in the last couple years, came from an underwriting background. So I'm the SVP of claims, managing our global claims portfolios.
What excites you about it? What motivates you to get up every day and do that work?
That's a great question. Every day is a different day. You never know what types of claims are going to come in. You get to see all of the businesses that we write pretty much around the world, from big losses to small losses. We get to work with people all over the world, colleagues, our brokers, our clients. So you just see how the world works.
I imagine there's a lot of times when you're working with people going through a really difficult professional experience of dealing with especially large losses. How do you handle that?
That's a great question. I think at the end of the day, this is a people business. So, we try to do as much work pre-loss as we can. So we like to know our clients, make sure we know who we're going to be negotiating with, make sure they understand what our policy covers and what it does not cover, and really work with underwriting in advance to make sure we're tailoring unique coverages that they need so they know they have that certainty of what to expect if there is a big loss.
So 20 years at FM. What would the Senior Vice President of Claims, what would their desk have looked like 20, 25 years ago?
A lot of accordion files, papers stacked up, and pretty much now I can work from anywhere on the planet on my laptop or tablet, and everything's been condensed into email or other devices to be able to communicate and do our jobs.
What has that meant for FM's claim service, to be that move to digital? What has that meant?
The huge investment that's happened, but I think, it gives us an ability to collect our data in a much better way that's not on paper, so we can use it in various fashions, helps us get to our clients in a much more expedited manner, and helps our adjusters to focus on the things that are important, which are helping our clients get back into business following a loss, and hopefully doing a lot less admin type of work than they would have done previously.
Has that change been accelerating over the past few years, especially around AI, all this additional technological transformation?
Yeah, so I think claims has been one of the benefactors of AI and the changes that are taking place. What wasn't possible last year is possible this year. We've looked at our entire claims process, from our intake and our first notices to our payments, and just looking at, what administrative steps are in here, and how do we remove that from our adjusters' hands so they can spend more time with clients, either pre-loss or out on sites helping our clients recover as quickly as possible to get their business back in order and meet their clients' obligations. So I see that continuing. Computers and data, pretty much every step of the claims process has those commonalities in it, and whether it's automation of process, damage assessment reviews, triaging our losses, how do we handle big catastrophe type claims, how do we measure adjuster productivity, what should they be doing, and then how can we automate as much of the process as possible. Realizing that we still believe this is a people business, and we really need to make sure that our, it's still human to human working, but how do we remove some of the administration tasks from the adjusters to be able to concentrate more on getting with clients and getting claims settled quickly and fairly.
How do clients benefit from that approach?
In some cases, on small losses, it could be less requirement for information to get paid. We've introduced a new process called fast track claims to expedite small claims. So we kind of did a full review of, what critical pieces of information do we really need to adjust this file? And then we've tried to reduce that to as much as possible, and then send those out on an automated system. So once clients receive those, they upload the documents. The human is still looking at them to make sure there's no fraud and the estimates that they receive are accurate, and then the claims are paid. So in our client's sense, this is in their control to how fast this gets paid. We started this last year. We're now reduced cycle time by up to 50% from what it was previously.
Cycle time, what do you mean by that? What does that mean?
Cycle time is, from when we're notified of the claim, how long does it take to get that claim settled and paid?
So a client who has a loss, a lot of them are getting paid more quickly as a result of the system?
Correct. So say it was 180 days on average before, it's now 90, and there's no reason that can't be 60 for small losses.
Take me back to the decision to launch Fast Start Claims. Why did you decide to do that?
A great question. So when we were looking at all of our loss experience, we noticed, about 80% of our losses come from amount that make up a small proportion of our overall claims payments. So it's a lot of the volume comes in, don't really affect the outcome of the company. So we wanted to take a step back and say, okay, if we're hearing from clients, they want to get paid faster. There's too much administration in adjusting some of these small losses. So if you think of losses under $100,000, under $50,000, for the most part, clients go out, they get estimates. We don't quiver over those amounts to a large degree, so why don't we just pay them? If they supply and they did it, and here's the estimates, then we just make that process a lot easier than it used to be.
And the reverse of that, the higher dollar figures, those are still handled with a white glove service that's not in the Fast Track system. How does the Fast Track system benefit those sorts of losses as well?
Yeah, so what's happening is we're saving about 300% of adjuster hours by automating most of the Fast Track stuff. So what that means is our adjusters have more time to be able to spend with our clients, whether it be pre-loss, better understanding the policy, working with them on tailored solutions, doing policy workshops, and also, more importantly, how do we add value when there is a big loss? How do we get it on site as quickly as possible? How do we be there with the clients as they're starting to make decisions right away following a loss? And we're finding that our involvement at early stages within that is helping mitigate these losses very substantially, which means our clients are getting back into business faster, which means they're able to meet their clients' expectations, and making sure we can do that with speed and clarity, and the expertise that we bring to the table has been phenomenal, and I think only going to get better.
How does Fast Track Claims impact the client on a day-to-day basis? What benefit do they see from that system?
So it's totally within their control to get those claims back submitted as fast as possible, and they're in control of how fast they get paid. So as long as we set out from day one what requirements, what documents, what reports we need, and this is a list of 4 or 5 items, it's not a lengthy list. So once they upload those, pretty much almost instantaneously, they can be paid and the file can be closed.
Claims seems like a data-rich environment. It's a people business, but you also have a lot of data. Can AI help bring that data out and inform other areas of the business as well? What can you learn from that claims data with AI that you maybe couldn't have back in the days of the accordion file?
For us as a company, we're not a high volume claims thing. So, large losses, it's hard to, what happened to this industry may not be the same that's going to happen in other ones, but our core losses still, as I mentioned earlier, was 80%, into small losses, which we defined under $250,000, which is still fairly large. There is a lot of data that can be extracted there and can be used for underwriting and engineering in order to make better loss predictions up front. It gives us a thing, hey, where's inflation going? Where is supply chain going? Are we seeing longer downtimes, et cetera?
To go a little bit more general here, when you're talking to people about your work, you're at a party, you say, I'm Jeremy Gallant, Senior Vice President of Claims. What's something that people just commonly misunderstand about your work?
I think anyone says if you say you work in insurance, it's skeptical right away because everyone thinks of their auto insurance or their home insurance that maybe have had a problem over the years. And we insure the biggest companies in the world. Helping them manage their business, helping them be more resilient is our key focus. Now, while we do believe the majority of losses are preventable, doesn't mean all losses are preventable. Natural catastrophes continue to increase in size and scope, big fire losses, big equipment losses. Certainly those are continuing to see upticks and large exposures around the world, and supply chains are shifting due to geopolitical reasons, war issues, conflicts, lots of different reasons. And us being able to respond to those is very interesting. So we get to see how the world works, how companies work, how supply chains work, how businesses work, how clients make money, and how we can help them get back into business should something happen.
That sounds more interesting at a party than they might expect, right?
People are definitely surprised.
Do you think there could be a time where AI would replace human decision-making, or are humans always going to be in the loop in this claims process?
I think humans will always be in the decision-making process. Now, does that mean every decision that's made today is going to be made by humans, or I don't know. I think that this will allow claims to get more impactful decisions to the right people at the right time. Decisions that everyone is going to agree with, or decisions that are fairly simple. Hey, let's not dwell over those. Those shouldn't hold up the process. Let's have those made, and let's make sure our people are handling, the value add, important strategic decisions that need to be made on a claim.
What are some of the barriers to AI really helping streamline processes to really improving things?
I think data quality is one big one. So, if you don't trust the data, then obviously decisions in AI using it isn't going to work very well. And the models that they use need to be proven and tracked and predictable. And, there is regulation out there that exists to make sure that we are not relying on machines to make decisions that impact people's livelihoods and businesses. So I can see more coming there, and that's why we're not trying to remove the human from the process. We're just trying to direct the human to where they can add the most value.
What are clients telling you about this, especially fast track claims, which is now out there in the wild? What's the feedback from clients been?
It's been amazing. I think at the beginning, there's always a new process and people don't understand it. So I think at the beginning, we did say, hey, we used to have an adjuster come out and they would help us through this. But then when you talk to the clients, it's like, okay, well, what did they help you do? They helped us make the decisions. Okay, what decisions did they help you make? And would they have been different than you would have otherwise made? And so started working through those, and I was like, oh no, I think you're right. We knew how to do this. We just wanted to make sure we were going to get paid. So a lot of what this is about is to make sure the trust is there and that the process is going to work. So when clients do follow what we're asking them to do, we are going to pay at the end of the day. And that's, I think, a lot of trust that's been built into the process to make sure it's worked. So we did this in the U.S. and Canada about 18 months ago. So I think we went through that, and it's really stabled out quite nicely now. We see positive feedback pretty much from everybody now that hey, this is taking a lot of work off brokers, that I used to have to follow up on these $50,000, $25,000 losses. That's not the best use of my time either. So if clients are happy and they're getting paid what they believe to be fairly and they're getting the money faster, then hey, this is a win-win for everybody. We recently launched the same automated method that we did in the US, in France and Germany, where we do see significant volumes of small losses. And 95%, we're getting there on the same feedback. I think as any new process, it just does take a while to get everybody up to speed on what we're doing, why we're doing it, and how we're helping them get their claims settled fairly and quickly.
Are there any specific examples that you could point to? Any anecdotes that really stand out to you as part of the fast track claims process?
Yeah, we have a client, they have 300 losses a year. They're mostly all small, and you look at the amount of time that was spent between everybody touching that, whether it be their client, their local facility that had the loss, their corporate client, the broker, us, our claims coordinators. I think having that mostly automated at their control has dramatically sped up their claims portfolio and is getting them a lot more claims quicker. We've had other clients where in the past we've kind of shied away from writing the business because we knew that there was a high volume of low claims and we just didn't have the resources to be able to effectively manage it the way that we did. So now, it's leading to some new opportunities out there that, a couple of years ago we wouldn't have been able to do.
Oh, interesting. What excites you most about where claims technology is headed in the next couple of years?
I think it's bringing back the value that claims can bring to an account. You think of an insurance company, and at the end of the day, we sell a policy that's going to pay for things that happen if it's covered after an event. And we want to be as broad as possible and interpret it as broad as we can to help our clients get back into business as quickly as they can.
Is there anything that's really surprised you about AI and automation in particular since these tools have started getting either piloted or rolled out? Anything that really stood out to you as a surprise?
I just think about how fast some of this has really happened. What were concepts 2 years ago are implemented now and working. And I think a lot of people try different AI things and, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't work, and how fast can we pivot? I mean, I think we took maybe a little bit longer to get things going, but a more planned thing to make sure that, hey, once it was released, it was going to work. Because if you change your entire process on how you handle 80% of your losses, you better make sure that it's going to work well. Which I'm proud to say that it is working well, and there's things that we're learning, and I think it's something that's always going to be evolving, and we're always taking our clients and our brokers' feedback, and trying to make the process more streamlined, better, more predictable, and making sure that we're responding to the needs that our clients and brokers have.
What's one big takeaway that you want listeners to really remember about AI and automation and technological development, how they're going to impact claims?
Yeah, I think it's taking away the administration side of the job. It's not taking away someone being there for you during your loss. So we are still doing that, and we're trying to do it a lot better than we did it before. And we do want to make sure that this is enhancing the claims experience, not detracting from it, and we're providing more value along the way to say, why do you buy insurance from us? Because we are going to help you get back into business faster than anybody else will in the industry.
Claims is a people-centered business and is going to remain so even if that person is using AI to improve their job.
100%.
We started this conversation talking about what your desk would have looked like 20, 25 years ago. What about 10 and 20 years? What is the senior vice president of claims? What is their desk going to look like with this AI future that's upon us?
It's hard to tell. I mean, I think, again, where we were last year is not where we are this year. And next year, who knows what's going to happen. So I think it's only exciting. You could see data being able to be supplied to be able to get people to make strategic decisions. So where some of our adjusters on medium to large losses could handle 40 losses today, maybe they will be able to handle 100 losses. Not that they will work more than they work today, but they will just be able to be funneled and be able to work on different areas of things where they add the most value.
What can go wrong if somebody is using AI in the claims adjustment process?
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have rules and procedures around how you use it, AI can take you down a path that may not be accurate. So not knowing how to prompt things properly or researching the wrong information, it could draw upon things on the web that may not be accurate or may have been accurate 10 years ago and aren't accurate today. So I think there is a lot of knowledge that goes along with this to be able to look at it and have enough education of the process to know what is correct and what isn't correct, or at least enough inkling or ability to be able to question something if it seems off. And I think that is why some of the regulation around this stuff is not crystal clear yet of how far insurance companies should go with AI. And we view this as important that our adjusters are trained in this, that they can adjust the files. And yes, AI is going to supplement and allow them to make decisions, but at the end of the process, they are still the ones making the decisions.
Yeah, if you ask AI for dinner recommendations and it sends you to a closed restaurant, that's one thing. But if it tells you that a claim should be accepted or rejected or adjusted in a certain way, that probably has more implications for our clients.
Correct.
What have the early results shown about some of these initiatives?
Yeah, I mean, we've looked at our, from an employee standpoint and from a client standpoint. So from our employees, we've done surveys of job satisfaction, and we've seen some improvements there. We've looked at, how much time they've spent on various tasks before and after, and it all shows positive improvement. But I think more importantly on the employee side, we've kind of made them part of our AI strategy. So we've had a group within our claims department, they come up with some of the ideas that when we look through, say, okay, can we implement these things? So we're getting a nice bottom-up, I guess, if you will, approach to ideas where our adjusters are spending their time, where they don't feel that that's the best use of their time. So we're not solving every single one of them for different reasons, but we are getting out there and solving the problems that they are telling us are issues. On our client side, I think the same thing. We have changed how we've handled our smaller losses. So, I mean, we are looking, surveys based on the experience, same with brokers to figure out, okay, what has changed, how's the process gone, is there feedback that they would like to provide? And most of that has been going very well. The measurement we talked about earlier was our cycle time is half of what it was, and there's no reason why it can't continue to improve. So I think that is having massive benefit for many of our clients who just want to get losses settled and paid as quickly as possible. It gets off their desk, and they're happy with the outcome, and they get back to doing the business that they want to do.
What are some of those administrative tasks that AI and automation are already helping clear out of the way for a claims adjuster? What are your employees coming to you and saying, gosh, if I had less time to do this, I could really be there with my clients in person more?
No, great question. So we've used this in various ways. I mean, I think our fast track automation is one big one that is out there. But we're also looking into, how do we better utilize data for adjusters when they go out for a loss? So we collect a lot of engineering information and have engineering reports on all of our locations. But wouldn't it be awesome if an adjuster could just say, hey, here's the location that I've had a loss, I press a button and boom, here is all the information I need relevant to get out of my claim. I don't have to go look it up in a different system. I don't have to print it out. I don't have to sift through a 50-page document to find what's important. It just gives me what I need. It gives me how this location was underwritten. It gives me reinsurance. It gives me deductibles. It gives me everything in one spot. You'd be shocked how much time statutory filing of documents takes. So another one is like, hey, how do we automate filing of documents into the right spots? Sounds trivial, but this is a lot of time spent on this. Capturing data, so any input, any notification of losses, we're trying to get them put into our portal, which will then help us facilitate the fast track or any other triage process we have to be able to get the information to the right source. So getting that data properly in. Now, on one side, a client could manually input all of that data, but could we take that out from the email that it automatically populates into the system so that system will then start the automation process for smaller losses? And then we've been using or experimenting with Gen AI, looking at our operating requirements. So if our adjusters need a question, how do they go in and figure out what they need to do in a various scenario? It's helping streamline lease and contract reviews, so getting very quickly to the area of insurance of who's responsible for what, and is the policy going to cover what it is that they're responsible for. We're piloting using it for summarizing of documents. So, in larger claims particularly, there's a lot of consultant reports that come back, and these are big, lengthy documents, and they do come with executive summaries, but AI can help us even summarize that even further to be able to get to the core areas. Now, that doesn't mean our adjusters shouldn't be able to read these things if they need to be. It needs to flag those items, but certainly that saves a ton of time of manual looking it up before. And just writing some of our summaries and file narratives that we have to do to document our files. We're experimenting with AI, getting us 90% of the way there, and a human goes back to make sure, okay, these are all correct, but it's able to extract that data from every other file that we've worked on in the claim to be able to summarize those nice and quickly.
Thanks for being on the show.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You can reach the show at podcast@fm.com. See you next time. Copyright 2026, Factory Mutual Insurance Company, all rights reserved. This podcast is for informational purposes only and aims to highlight potential hazards or conditions to help reduce property loss. FM makes no express or implied warranties and assumes no liability for the use of any information or products mentioned.